Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. As we near the end of 2025, we're all being hit with constant information overload. And for many of us, it feels like waking up in a state of quiet dread. It's silent, unspoken, and deeply felt, yet speaking about it is considered unacceptable. See, freedom is a myth when speaking up results in being labeled and punished in ways that would make no sense to the systems that keep our planet functioning. And no, I am not talking about humanity. Today, we will begin the journey to discover how everything functions, starting with the Earth. So, before we begin, I want to offer you a brief moment of calm. If you are someone who feels silenced and erased, you're not alone. Know that. So, let's start. Take a deep breath in and hold. Count to 4. Now, slowly exhale. This means breathing out all that air with intention. And do you know why? Well, it's because you just did the one thing most people never notice. See, here's something we often forget. Oxygen isn't just air, it's your brain's fuel. It powers every cell in your body. Low oxygen levels are linked to fatigue, poor sleep, weakened immunity, and even mood imbalances. That's why deep breathing isn't just relaxing, it's regenerative. And when we breathe polluted air or breathe too shallow for too long, our body begins to operate in survival mode. So reclaiming your breath, it's not spiritual fluff. It's biology. It's your right to thrive. Now breathe in again. But this time, welcome the air. Feel it enter your lungs. Feel it fill your body and hold. Now, gently thank your body for letting you breathe, for letting you rest, just for this moment. Today, we're going to explore what it truly means to be alive on a planet that breathes. Did you know that the average person takes over 22,000 breaths per day? Sounds like a lot, right? And yet, most people never notice a single one of them. See, here's the deeper truth. According to the World Health Organization, 9 out of 10 people around the world breathe polluted air every single day. That's over 90% of the global population inhaling air that harms instead of heals. So know this, your breath is sacred. Every inhale is a gift. Every exhale is a chance to begin again. We live on the surface of the Earth, the one magical planet in the solar system where everything breathes. See, just because something doesn't have lungs doesn't mean it's not alive. The entire plant kingdom breathes. You feel it in the fresh air produced by your plants in your home or in your gardens, or when you walk in areas where lots of trees grow. And just because something doesn't have electrical circuits doesn't mean it's not a system. See, the entire planet has its own heating and cooling system built in. No other planet in the known universe has this. Winter and summer seasons switch between the northern and southern hemisphere every year, like a dance of unison, and the planet loves it. And just because something isn't used as a tool doesn't mean it isn't its own technology. Have you felt rain falling on your skin or felt the air in your lungs? See, that is the natural technology embedded into Earth's design before any human ever existed, because Earth was our first classroom. Long before we had language to communicate or label things, and long before we built machines, or even when humans discovered fire or built the wheel. Earth was our classroom long before we named science, and long before humans created rituals and laws. Because if you look around, or remember your childhood, you'll see that Earth was already teaching us through breath, by learning how to breathe and feel, through gravity, by learning how to walk, through light, by learning how to see, through sound, by learning how to hear, and through water, by learning how to survive. They were our first teachers. Now, zoom out and look around the Earth. Today, you can search the internet and find an image of the Earth, something unheard of before space exploration just in the last 100 years. What you see is that the oceans inhale and exhale with the tides, pulled by the rhythm of the moon every single day and night. You'll see that the forests across the Earth breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen, the same gases we all need to survive. It's an exchange of breath between the Earth to each of us, completely in sync with the seasons of wet, dry, winter, and sun. Even the rocks, the soil, the mountains, they rise, they settle, they hold, and they release. You've heard of volcanoes erupting and earthquakes, right? Well, that's breath too. That's Earth exhaling pressure in its own way. Approximately 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by oceans. That's a lot of salty water because only 3% of it is fresh water. You know, the kind we drink and use for powering industries used to supply and service our daily lives. And all of this water, according to the IPCC and NOAA, is shown to absorb nearly 30% of the world's carbon emissions. Now imagine your breath for a whole year and everything you breathe in, every inhale, every sigh, every breath while you walk, run, swim, climb, jump, rage, fly, cry, laugh, celebrate, sleep, or even dream. According to the USDA Forest Service, one mature tree produces enough oxygen for 2 people to breathe for an entire year. That's 260 pounds of oxygen produced by a single tree every single year so you can exist. So if a standard balloon holds approximately 14 liters of air and only approximately 21% of that is oxygen, then to match 260 pounds of pure oxygen would equate to over 21,000 balloons being filled. So yes, that's how much a single mature tree quietly creates without asking for anything. But what happens when a forest becomes overgrown with species that don't give back to the ecosystem? Well, today, Earth is filled with invasive species. Because according to the UN's Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, invasive species are one of the top 5 drivers of biodiversity loss worldwide. See, they often arrive with good intentions: ornamental plants, imported animals, or crops for mass production. But over time, they spread rapidly, disrupt local ecosystems, and take more than they return, eventually causing collapse if not managed properly. In forests, some trees outcompete native ones for light and nutrients, literally choking natural biodiversity. In waterways, species like zebra mussels or cane toads destabilize entire aquatic food webs, causing havoc to agricultural systems. Even in cities, monoculture landscaping limits pollinator activity and weakens the resilience of soil and insect networks, which keeps our food supply thriving. It's not about blame, it's about imbalance. See, carrying capacity is a foundational ecological principle embedded into the structure and functioning of the Earth's planetary systems. It simply means, how much life can one system support without collapse? And Earth, she doesn't punish, she responds. She restores balance through feedback loops, such as floods, droughts, wildfires, soil loss, storms, and when we ignore the early signs, the system begins to say, enough, stop, balance needs to be restored. For me, survival changed the way I see the earth, not as background, not as scenery, but as intelligence itself. Every breath you take, every drop of water you drink, every grape, tomato, lime, or lemon you eat, Earth is teaching you. Through them, Earth is teaching you history by laying out the map of the lessons from exploration, teaching you survival by showing you how to thrive, and teaching you connection by showing you how to be resilient. And if that sounds poetic, let's talk numbers. The average person consumes over 8 pounds of grapes per year. But how many know grapes were once used as currency, medicine, and as food in sacred rituals? Tomatoes comprise of 90% water, but they've traveled continents, caused trade wars, and transformed cuisines in every culture on the planet just in the past few hundred years. Because no one born outside of Central and the northern parts of South America even knew what a tomato was before they were introduced to Europe in the mid-1500s. And limes and lemons, well, they helped sailors who set out, whether they liked it or not, to explore the oceans to survive scurvy, a devastating nutritional deficiency which took more lives than wars during the Age of Sail, long before we even knew what vitamin C was. So no, my podcast episodes weren't random. Grapes, tomatoes, limes, and lemons, they weren't just foods. They were chapters of Earth's curriculum. And here's what people forgot. Technology only imitates this. Every system we build is data flowing in, signals flowing out. Every system we build is just us copying what Earth has always done without planning, without approvals, and without conflict. Air is the original technology. See, the nervous system moves electricity the same way lightning does. Fiber optics move light, just like the sun moves information across your skin. Everything we've built, we built by watching Earth work and exist in its natural state of being. And now, I'm expanding the classroom here to remind you we are all students of Earth. We are all carrying its lessons in our bodies and in our stories. So before we dive into air, before we flow into water, let's begin here. Welcome to Earth, a place where everything breathes. See you in the next one, and remember to breathe with intention and be the best version of yourself, no matter what anyone says. See, a tree produces oxygen for us to breathe, no matter if the sun stops shining or the rain keeps falling. And when pests take over, well, the tree starts designing and testing defense systems. That's just Earth. It knows what to do always by instinct, which is to protect itself, because even the Earth activates and innovates to prevent future collapse. And its only power source? A giant fireball that's only connected by light. Let that sink in. And the only reason I'm sharing this is simply because I've spent almost 2 years learning how to breathe safely and survive through levels of discomfort most people can't see. It changed how I see the world, and I hope by sharing this, it might change how you see it too.